welcome to the final online event of the summer, BCA Members Talks. And we're very pleased to be able to welcome Steve Orridge this evening, who is a local naturalist, who is one of the founder members of the BCA Biodiversity Group, and also is host of the Lightwood Natural History Facebook page, which is really interesting. Lots of very interesting photos and information there. I'd recommend people to have a look at that to not come across it. And he's going to talk to us tonight about Buxton's butterflies and how to identify them. Over to you, Steve.
Okay. Right, just bear with me while I share the screen and find my presentation. Oh, hang on. Slideshow from the beginning. Right. So can everybody see that? Okay. Brilliant. Thank you. Right. So we're just going to talk about the butterflies of Buxton, not outside of the town. So there's enough here to keep us for going for quite a while anyway. So right, George will recognise this photograph. This is a collage of butterflies from probably the early last century. It was presented to Buxton on 1952, and it was on show in 2018. The son of the founder of the museum was there for the presentation, but as I say, there's a lot of butterflies in there, and you wonder how long it would take to build a collage like that now. That's just a corner. Right, so Derbyshire has 32 species. We've got 27 around Buxton, and 4 of them are in the BAT plan. And we've got all 4 of these in Lightwood. I'm saying here, Lepidoptera is Greek, lepidop is scale, terra, wing. What is a butterfly? We'll get asked that question, but I'm not going to show you this. We'll go quickly through that one. I mean, I think the easiest explanation to separate a butterfly from a moth is the wing positions. You've only really got 2. They only hold the wings in 2 positions, either open or it's shut. Now with moths, you'll occasionally, 1 or 2 of the moths hold the wings open, like the light emerald here, but a lot of them, this is called the tentiform position, where they fold the wings over their abdomen. This is a snout. It's not folded, but the wings cover the abdomen. And burnished grass is another tentiform one. So we got 4 families in Derbyshire, or in Buxton. The Papillonidae, the swallowtails, there's just 1 species, and you get them in Norfolk. And the metal marks are, that's the Duke of Burgundy's. There's only 1 species of them in the UK. Right, so we'll go on to the skippers first. The Hesperidae. It's named after their quick darting flight, as in skippers. The most moth-like. You'll see them in a minute, and they seem to be the most primitive. The other thing I should say about, so I'm just letting somebody else in. It's completely pulled me off. I forgot what I was going to say now. So they seem to be the most primitive, and you can see them. We have 3 species in Buxton anyway. So this is a small skipper. So it's a wide gap between the antennae. And this is a female. And the female doesn't have a black mark on the wing, which is like the scent mark, and that's how you distinguish the small skipper from the large skipper. And if you look at the colour, it's like a uniform golden brown. This is a male, and you can see that little black line on the upper wing. That denotes it as a male. That's an underwing. When I took this photograph, there was a crab spider stalking the butterfly. It did get away. Right, so this is a potential newcomer to Buxton. They're not here yet, but they're slowly making their way west and north. This is the Essex skipper on the right-hand side. They look very similar to the small skipper, but they have like if you look at the antennae, it looks as though it's been dipped in black ink. If we look on the upper wing, on the males, you've got a little straight line, which is a scent mark, and on the small skipper, it's slightly curved. Wiggly. This is a large skipper. Now you can see the wing colour's completely different. It's got white panels in the wing, well, paler panels in the wings. See all round, and you can see that on the underwing as well. This is a female, and this is a male. Big, thick scent line, and them pale panels can be seen on the underside as well. And if you look at the antennae of the large skipper, there's a slight curve on the tips, which the small skipper doesn't have. Right, the dingy skipper. This is the first skipper that we see in town, and it doesn't have the same wing. What can I say? It's the wings are slightly different. They haven't got that shape of like a hawk type. You know, the wings are flat rather than raised. It's a very pretty butterfly when it's when it first emerges, and it does look a bit like a moth. It's quite small as well. The male and the female look pretty much identical, so there isn't a picture of the female on here. No, I've said male, but there's just a slight ridge in the upper wing. But look, you can see the antennae as well, they're quite curved. Right, so moving on to the whites, the Pieridae. Medium-sized butterflies. We get a big migration in from Europe in summer, and probably 50–60% of the white butterflies you see may be migrants. And we say here the small and the large white are known as the cabbage moths. So when people say cabbage white, it usually refers to the small and the large white, because they will eat your cabbages. The caterpillar of the small white tends to be the one that you find inside the heart of your cabbage, whereas the large white will feed on from the outside. Right, this is a very infrequent visitor to Buxton. This one we found in 2014 in Longsiding's quarry on a survey. It's a sulphur yellow. It has black lines on the top of the wings. This is the only photograph I got of this one, and it is smaller than the other yellow butterfly we get, the brimstone. And this is a male brimstone. Notice the angled wings. The Gonopteryx means angle wing, and the males this sort of pale sulphur yellow, and the females white. But I've got a photograph of that one. This is a large white. You look at the tips of the wings. The black extends quite a way up the costa and quite a way down to the margin. This is a female because of the two black spots on the wing. And this is a male. Again, you can see the black extending quite a way around the wing, and there's no spots. And this is the small white. The black goes a bit up the wing, but it doesn't extend around the wing, and you haven't got that. It doesn't fill the corner in like it does on the white, on the large white. And here we have the female, the two black spots. And this is a female turning away the advances of a male. She puts her abdomen up to say, no, I'm not available today, thank you very much. Moving on, here's a green vein white. This is usually one of our first butterflies to come out. Green vein because of these green, well, these are actually black scales on a yellow background, but they do look green. And if you look at the upper wing, you've got these like little triangles, like the black's leaching down the veins. This is a female again because we've got the two black spots. And this is a male. You look at the, again, look at the black, how it's not a uniform black around the wing, is it? It's just like little blotches. And that's a pairing cop. The orange tip. It's only the male that has the orange. But the black's they're smaller than the other white butterflies. It's probably our smallest white. Anthocharis means the grace of a flower, of a lovely, soft, fluttering flight. There's a male, unmistakable. You're not going to mistake this for any other of our British butterflies. And that's the underwing. A lot different to the other white butterflies. On the small and large white, this would be like a pale lemon, and obviously on the green vein white, you've seen the veins, but these are like little green blotches. Right, moving on to the coppers and the blues. So active with a metallic sheen, and we've got 6 species around Buxton. I will be showing you pictures of the small blue. We haven't got them at the moment. They may sometime. Well, nothing's impossible. They may return one day. It's always worth keeping the eye out for them. Right, the green hair streak, our only green butterfly, quite diminutive. They're in all the dales. We get them up in Lightwood, in Cunningdale, in Grinlow, and in Ferniedale, where we do our surveys. They're one of our earliest butterflies out. They probably come out some early May, and they're over now. They've done their bit, and we won't see them again now until next year. They overwinter as a chrysalis, so they're all ready to just pop out and start feeding. Oh, the white letter hair streak. This is one of the bat species. Well, I've got two friends who get these in the garden. I first saw one in Ashwood Park. They have been reported in the gardens. They've been reported in Grinlow. So just a case of keeping the eye open for these. The only problem with them is they rarely come down to feed. They feed on nectar off the aphid sap in the canopy, and we're very lucky when they do come down and feed below, but they spend most of their time in the tops of the trees. You see this W here, so it gets its name, W album, the white W. There's another shot. The small coppers, they have several generations in the air. Again, they're quite an early one to come out, and we've actually seen them all the way through to October. But it's another unmistakable butterfly, really, with that deep orange and the black spots. Not really hard to confuse with anything else, until it closes its wings. So it's sort of a dull grey brown with black spots. I mean, there's no other butterfly that has this colouring, but they can vanish quite quickly if you don't keep following them around. They just land and disappear. This is a small blue, so it's the smallest of our British butterflies. Of a grey brown, doesn't really look like a butterfly, but it's when it closes its wing, and you recognise it as it looks a bit like a holly blue, actually. Sort of a pale grey bluey background with little black spots. There's another pair. I'm going to slow the presentation down a bit. I'm probably rushing the photographs through, I'm thinking, so I'm just going to let you look at them a bit longer. So this is a brown Argus. We've only really got one site in Buxton for these at the moment, and that's down in Cunningdale. But a brown background with the orange running down the edges of the wings. Now the female common blue looks very similar to this, or it can do, but the orange doesn't extend as far up the wing. And on the common blue, you usually get a dusting of blue on the bases of the wings, which you don't see in the brown Argus. Now this is the underwing, and if you look at these two little black dots here, that's a way of distinguishing the common blue from the brown Argus. In the common blue, the black dots go across the margin of the wing, but in the brown Argus, they're perpendicular to the edge of the wing. And this is the common blue male. Polyomatus icarus. Polyomatus means many eyes. And as I said before, you can see these black dots on the margin, and on the brown Argus, the black dots will be like a figure 8. There's a female. You can see the like a blue wash on the base of the wings. But if you look at the underwing, you can see the black dots running along the margin rather than perpendicular. And here's two I asked to pose. So I got the brown argus on the right, on the left, and the common blue on the right. And that's this. I think this shows it quite well, the difference between these two little black dots. This is a holly blue. If you see a blue butterfly flying around your trees or in your shrubs, it's most likely to be this one, because you won't see common blues doing that. I don't think we've had these on any of our surveys. We haven't recorded them in any of our surveys, but they're more of a garden butterfly, really. As the name suggests, they do feed, well, they have two generations. I think the first generation feeds on holly, and the second generation feeds on ivy. But if you look at the underwings, a bit like a small blue, with these little pale blue with the little black dots. That's just showing you another picture. This one's feeding on Hempagrum in our garden. So we move on to the Nymphalidae now. As it says here, they only have two pairs of legs. The first pair are vestigial, and they may use them for tasting the food source to make sure that they're landing on the right plant and they're going to lay their eggs on the right plant. So this is another unmistakable butterfly. Atalanta, well, Atalanta refers to this lady here. She was a Greek heroine who was very much into sports, and her parents wanted her to marry, and she said, well, I'll only marry the person who beats me in a race. And there was a lot of suitors, and there's only one who actually won. This is the only photo, the only painting I could find where they all got fully clothed. Most of them aren't. Now, if you look at the underwing, they rarely close the wings actually, but if they do, if you see a butterfly, a big dark butterfly, and you're wondering which one it is, this little white patch here will probably give it away, but they rarely close the wings fully. You'll see it there now. But again, you see, look at the upper wings. The painted lady. Cardoi means thistle, and that's what they feed on. These probably outcompete the monarch butterfly in terms of distance covered in migration. They start off in sort of Central Africa, and they have stages where they'll lay eggs, they'll have young, the young then move further north, they'll have young, and they'll can actually reach Iceland. I think they're the only butterfly that's actually got as far as Iceland, and then they make the return journey, and I think it's something like 9,000 miles. It's not the same butterfly, it's successive generations, but you know, it's just a year-long migration. And that's the underwing. That's not going to be mistaken for any of the other vanessids. Small tortoiseshell, Aglaris Urtices nettle, because that's what they feed on. All three of our, well, apart from the painted lady, which feeds on thistle, the red admiral, the small tortoiseshell, and the peacock all feed on nettles. But really an unmistakable butterfly. Got these little yellow patches there with the black lines going down the margin, front margin, and then these little pale blue chevrons at the bottom, the trailing edge. And that's its wings partly closed. So if you look at this pale band here, that will distinguish it from the other vanessids, the peacock and the red admiral. And these are the caterpillars feeding on nettles. So another unmistakable butterfly, these big blue eyes. And when it's like that, you could almost see an owl in there, can't you? With the head, the eyes, the beak. And they'll actually open the wings if they get disturbed by a bird. They'll actually open the wings, and that shock of seeing them eyes is usually enough to scare a predator away. And this is the underwing, completely dark background, very hard to see, and when it's resting like that in the undergrowth. Doesn't work as well on thistle heads, but if you're looking at it in a shrub, it's difficult to see. And there we have the caterpillars. This one was actually photographed at Whitewood earlier, middle of last week. There was about 200 of them feeding on the nettles. The comma, Polygonia, means many-angled, and the sea album just means white sea, which you'll see in a minute. But again, another unmistakable butterfly with these, looks like it's had bites taken out of the wings. And you can see the sea on the underwing there. But look at that shape. This is one of my favourites, the dark green fritillary. There's slight difference between male and female. This one looks like a female. It's not as deep orange as the male tends to be. These feed on marsh violets, and they're in most of our dales. And I was actually watching 3 of these in water swallows this morning. So they're quite ubiquitous around Buxton. That's the underwing, that's how it gets its name, this greenish tinge to the hind underwing. This is a potential visitor or potential resident of Buxton. It's not got as far as us yet, but this is the silverwash fritillary. A deeper shade of orange, and if you look, you've got 2 rows of black spots on the hind wing, and that will be a single row on the dark green fritillary. This one's a male because of these black lines going down the veins. So it's one to look out for. It's not made it this far yet, but one day. The specklewood. Spend a lot of the time in trees. The caterpillars actually eat grass, but the adults tend to get their sustenance from aphid sap. So this is the one you're probably most likely to see fly off into a tree, the specklewood. And that's the underside. Sort of a pale, creamy brown colour with a few not well-defined spots. And this is another one of the bat species, the wall brown. This one's a female because of this thin brown line here. In a male, which you'll see on the next slide, the dark band is more parallel to the wing. So lasiomata means hairy-eyed. And we can have up to 4 generations of these. We're between generations 1 and 2 at the moment. So the second generation should be coming out anytime soon. You can see the black line on the male, or the dark brown band, which is like virtually parallel to the hind wing. You see another very distinctive underwing. So there's a line of circles going around the wing margin, quite like little bullseyes. And this one that's been in the wars. They're regular visitors to our garden, and they're quite pugnacious little beasts, really. But this one's probably been got at by a bird and taken chips out of the wing edges. The gatekeeper. This one's a male because of this, again, this wide brown scent line. You get a double spot in the eye, and two single spots on the hind wing. You can occasionally see 2 double spots in the meadow brown, but the colouring is different. I mean, it's a very deep orangey coloration on both pairs of wings, behind and the forewing. And the underwing's quite distinctive as well. I suppose it is possible, when you're starting off, you could mistake these for a small heath or a meadow brown. But it's this. Well, they've got the double eye there, but you've got this pale band separating the front and the rear of the wing. and even on this one you can see it. So if you see a butterfly, you think, is it a meadow brown or is it a gatekeeper? Just look out for this pale band separating the two sides. This is a female with a lack of the scent mark. Some of the males here. I've just gone past the female one. Apologies. The female has a deeper orange patch on the forewing. This one's a male. Quite plain brown. It could be mistaken for a ringlet when in flight, but you'll usually see that flash of orange either from the underwing or the upper wing as they're in flight. And that's the underwing of the meadow brown. Notice there's no pale band down the centre, which you get in the ring gatekeeper, and very few spots. This is a worn one. You do see a lot of butterflies that have stood the test of time, been through the wars, and it's surprising how little of the wings need to remain for them to still be able to fly. Now this is a very similar species to the meadow brown. But notice the spots. You can either have 2 or 3 spots on the forewing, and then you've got these on the hindwing, which you don't get in the meadow brown. Notice this very pale edge as well to the wing. This is a fresh one. This was photographed today in water swallows. The males and the females are very similar. And the underwing's quite unmistakable as well. It's only of the larger browns that have have these circles going down the margins. And the small heath, they're the smallest of our brown butterflies, and of the browns, not the skippers. And you always notice this little patch here. It really stands out. They have a fluttering flight, but they very quickly land. They usually have a little perch, a little favourite perch that they'll fly back to, and you'll never see them with their wings open. I've never ever photographed a small heath with with a view of its upper wing. Perhaps Andy, with his super fast camera, might be able to get one of these upper wings. That'd be a brilliant shot. And that was 3 in Lightwood having a party. There we go, and that's it. Would you like me to run through it again? Now, have I got to unmute? What do I do now, Simon or Sarah? That's to unmute.
Steve?
Yes.
If Sarah asks if people have any questions, then as people who ask any questions, I'll unmute them as they ask the questions, yeah?
Okay.
Thank you very much, Steve. That was really interesting and also very clear in giving us some pointers as to how to identify the different species of butterflies that we might see here in Buxton. Now, I'd like to invite everybody to ask any questions that they've got. Anybody want to know anything?
Well, I've got the chair. I'll just mention that there's 3 other guides that I've produced that are on PDF files, which can be accessed, and they go into more detail than I've been able to give tonight. So it's just another backup, really.
Sarah, I think we've got a question he wants to ask.
Steve, can I ask what camera you use or what lens? Because they're amazing shots.
It's just a bridge camera. It's the I've forgotten the blooming name of it now. It's the Nikon P900.
It's impressive shots.
Yeah, well, I don't think. Well, I say you need a reasonable camera, but I think most people can get good shots like that. It's just a case of just being patient and taking your time. Really, I'm not a photographer. I never professed to be a photographer. Really, I know very little about the arts and intricacies of photography, but yeah.
Well, thanks. They're great.
Thank you.
Richard, did you have a question?
Yes, Steve. You mentioned these scent marks on the wings of some of the butterflies.
Yes.
Do they actually have a purpose? Are they actually scent?
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, the special scales which exude some sort of pheromone. That's what I believe. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thanks.
Any further questions?
We've got 2 participants here.
We've got people with their hands up.
Peter Phillipson. Who else is?
Carol Garner.
I'll go to Peter first and Carol then, yeah?
Steve, just a quick one. Do you happen to know why a gatekeeper is called a gatekeeper?
No, I have read it up somewhere and I've forgotten. I'm sure. Yeah, I did know once upon a time, but I honestly can't recall it at this moment.
I was asked that question recently and I couldn't answer it.
No. Well, I'm going to have to try and make it stick now. I'll put my first bit of research when I've finished here now.
Okay, cheers.
Anybody else?
And Carol had one, I think.
Yeah.
Hi, Steve. Hi, Sarah.
Hiya.
Two questions, really. One is more tips about being able to take a photo of the butterfly, particularly with the wings. Is it just a case of being stealthy and patient, or any other tips?
It is a case of being stealthy. I mean, I started with a 4x zoom camera. So you really have got to be so quiet and very slow. I mean, any sudden movement and they're off like a shot. I mean, it's the same procedure I use for photographing all the wildlife, really. I mean, I usually hide behind the camera. I put it up to my face, and they don't seem to mind as much, and you've got to make sure you're not breathing on them as well, because I don't think that does them any good. They can, as soon as they get first whiff of your garlic breath, they're off. But yeah, it's just, I mean, I start off, I might be 10 yards away I'll take the first photograph, and I'll just keep chancing my luck till I get as close as I need to for the photograph, really. And that's the beauty of digital cameras, really, isn't it? You don't need to worry about your film. You know, you can just, you know, I might take 30 or 40 photographs till I've got close enough and got the one I want. So yeah, it's just patience, really.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And the other thing I wanted to ask was, is it possible from the BCA website or anywhere to get hard copies of some of the photos? Because it'd be quite nice to have something to refer to.
Yeah, well, like I say, I've done 3 PDF guides, one on the skippers, one on the whites, and one on the Nymphalids, and they're on the Lightwood Facebook group in the file section. They're probably, I think they're on the Buxton Biodiversity group. But I mean, I can always, you know, email me, and I'll. It'll have to be a wee transfer file, I think, because it'll be too large to just send, you know, attached to an email. But yeah, they're available to anybody for, you know.
We are going to put them on the Civic Association website.
Okay. Yeah.
This recording of this talk as well. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, it's best perhaps if you can download them and you know, have them to hand, really.
Yeah, exactly.
And as I say, they go into a bit more detail as well, because there's, you know, there's a time limit. I mean, probably spent about 3-4 weeks preparing them, so it's a bit more detail.
And Rachel's got a question. I'll just try to find you on the list.
Yeah, I think I'm unmuted now. Yeah. Thanks, Steve. Just to confirm that your guides are on the biodiversity website. The question is, you mentioned with one of them that it's goes through about 3 or 4 generations each year.
Yeah.
Is that fairly
Painted
common
lady
for the species, or?
No, I think the painted lady takes the crown, really. As I say, it's a massive. I think, let's say, somewhere in Central Africa. They make their way up through North Africa. They'll rest off around the Mediterranean, and then go up further up in Europe, and you know, we'll have a generation in the UK and move up into Scotland, and just keep going, and then they fly all the way back. Well, they get as far as it can go, you know.
Yeah. But generally, they go through one breeding cycle. Say in Buxton, they go through one breeding cycle. They're getting 2 cycles per year in a good year.
Yeah, well, if you read, well, you have read the book, haven't you? I think there was an invasion of painted ladies in Nep, wasn't there, one year, and it solved their thistle problem because they were being overwhelmed with thistles, and the painted ladies came along and sorted it out for them. That's where I should be today, actually.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention Nep.
No. Yeah, well, I hope it's. Well, I'm sure it'll still be okay anyway when you get there. Anyway, I think it'll be. Well, it's open. It's open on Saturday, I think, isn't it? Yeah. They reopen on Saturday.
Maybe next year.
Yeah. Just a shame they wouldn't let me rebook.
Yeah.
I'm a bit disappointed about that, really.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Okay, I'm not sure. Are there any other further questions? I can't see everybody's.
Yeah, Jill's got a question, yeah.
Ah, good. Okay.
Steve, is the mix that we're seeing in Buxton fairly stable over the years, or are there butterflies which are falling off, if you like, for one reason, and others that are doing increasingly well year by year?
It does vary. I mean, like, we've had big explosions of gatekeepers in the past, and then the numbers drop. I think there's a heck of a lot of predators out there for the butterflies. I mean, we've got, well, they don't know how many parasitic wasps are in the UK. It's probably a couple of thousand, and probably a couple of them have got their own target butterfly, and the wasps will have a good year, and then, you know, they'll have a big generation, and that'll wipe out the following generation of butterflies. So the generation of the parasitic wasps drop down, so the butterflies make a recovery, and that's how it works really. But I don't think weather-wise. Well, obviously it does depend on the summers. I mean, they don't like. I mean, a lot of chrysalis will, you know, if they've overwintered, the wet winters don't do them any good at all. You know, they're subject to fungus attack, and I mean, it's a war out there that they're fighting all the time.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jill. Thank you,
Question.
Steve. Georgia? Simon, can you unmute Georgia?
Yeah, she's actually unmuted.
Can you hear me? Is that
Okay,
okay?
yeah.
Yeah. I was very surprised to recently read that natural history museums still collect butterflies. And I just wondered what you guys thought of that. I was quite shocked, really, that they still did that, made new collections, still collecting species for research and into conservation and for the DNA in particular.
Yeah, it's very contentious, isn't it? But you need to collect specimens. They have a very short lifespan anyway, butterflies, and you know they're only around for like weeks, literally. And as long as you know, like that exhibition you've got at the museum, I mean, that probably made a dent, but we've still got lots of butterflies around today, haven't we? Yeah, I mean, you do need to collect specimens. I know. I mean, I was involved in a brimstone survey a few years back. It was a case of having to collect one a month and send it off or send it off to university so they could do some sort of, it was on DNA. I think they were doing tests on where they were. I mean, when a butterfly feeds, it takes in certain isotopes, and they could work out where they could identify which isotopes were in there and identify where these butterflies actually originated from. So it's like a migrant survey. So there's always going to be a need for specimens in science, really.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Probably more die on the motorways, don't they? Every day. You know, I mean, we need to make more space for them.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if that's where the damage is done, really, when we turn all their feeding fields into blooming car parks and industrial units and things.
Okay, thanks, Steve. Any more questions?
Yeah, just it's an observation, really, Steve. I mean, obviously today you've been largely talking about one part of the life cycle of the butterfly. The adult. Obviously, a huge amount of the ecology of a butterfly is dependent upon the larval stages and
absolutely.
the larval food plants and everything else. And actually, a lot of the conservation of butterflies is to do with providing the right conditions for the larval food plants and the right microclimate and everything else for them as well. And obviously, that's another area where there's massive predation as well, of course, is on the larvae. But it's worth people being aware that we've only been talking about half the life cycle of the butterfly.
Well, a quarter of the life cycle, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Yeah. And so in terms of their conservation, the rest of that life cycle is critical.
Yeah, it's amazing though when you think, you know, we've got 60 butterflies in the UK. Somewhere like Peru's got 2,700 species. I mean, we are, you know, we're pretty poor for butterflies, really. I mean, I run a moth trap. Last night I had nearly 60 species of moth in my garden, over 100 and odd moths, and that, you know, so I didn't have to leave my garden to get more species of moth than the total species of butterfly in the UK. crazy. But, and I mean that's a worth a talk as well. I mean we get a fantastic range of moths around Buxton. I mean, I've had probably about 550 species visit the garden over the years. And you know, I mean butterflies are, well, they're a day flying moth, aren't they? Really, they sit in the middle between the burnets, you know, the great the 5-spot burnet, and the grass moths. So you know, they're just a small part of the ecosystem, really. Very pretty part, though.
Is it right that some countries don't distinguish between the two anyway?
I've not heard that. Well, it's the same family, Lepidoptera. I mean, there's a new system that brought out by some very well, what do you call them? But butterfly enthusiasts is probably not a strong enough term, really. But there was a group, Agassiz, Bevan, and Heckford, who've reclassified all the Lepidoptera. And as I say, I think the butterflies start at 59 and go through to about 61, 62. But it actually starts at 1 and goes to 75. You know, so that's all the different groups you've got within the Lepidoptera family. So, but I'm not. Well, I'm not. I wasn't aware that they did separate or didn't separate the two. But I mean, you do get some beautiful day flying moths. So perhaps it's hard in some places. You know, we're pretty impoverished, really, aren't we?
It's an interesting point from Kate, who suggested that I think it was in French that it's the same word for butterflies and moths.
Papillon. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the swallowtail is from the papillon family, and that's the only one we don't. Oh, we've only got the one species in the UK.
Okay, well, thanks very much everybody for zooming in and joining the talk this evening. Special thanks to Steve for sharing his expertise and knowledge. And as was mentioned, this will be available as a recording on the BCA website in future. This is the last of the talks online for the summer, and we hope to see you all later in the year. So thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.